wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so explain what your position is.
I am the executive director of the Fresno Arts Council. My name is Lilia Gonzales Chavez, and our work at the Arts Council is varied. We are involved in public art programs. We're involved in programs in correctional institutions. We send artists to teach classes in correctional institutions. Wow. And we also have teaching artists in the schools. But our primary purpose is to serve as an advocate for the arts in Fresno County. And so we do that by creating opportunities for local artists, and then also being involved in identifying funding opportunities for arts and arts programs.
So how long has this been around in the Central Valley?
Oh, gee, the Arts Council has been around for a very long time. It was established in 1979. So the Arts Council has been doing various activities for all that time. The current program that a lot of folks have kind of perked up and become interested in is the Expanded Access to Arts and Culture Fund. And that's relatively new and is a result of the Measure P funding that was for parks and art. And so 88% of that total fund goes for parks, and the PRAC, which is the commission that was established to oversee Measure P funding, is very involved in distributing those funds for parks in the community.
Wow.
But the Arts Council gets 12% to manage.
How long have you been involved with this?
With the arts in general, or just the Arts Council?
The Arts Council.
The Arts Council, I was on the board for about, maybe 10 years before I actually became the executive director. And I've been the executive director for going on 12 years now.
So you must have seen a lot of things progress over this time. That's what's really exciting. Like to just see it, like how when you started to how it is now. What are some of the changes you've seen?
Well, I think I've seen things go and come. I was around for the Arts to Zoo initiative, which some people might know. It was another tax initiative to support the arts, and then I saw it fall apart and we lost those funds. And so for many years in Fresno County, there was no support for the arts locally. And so now that the Measure P funds are available, and that was a long road getting there. And the work of a lot of caring people in our community who said, you know, Fresno deserves good things, and we deserve quality of life amenities such as parks and arts. And so they worked real hard to bring this about. And now we do have these funds for new parks and the arts.
I love that. And a little bit about my backstory is I grew up here, but I moved away to Los Angeles in 2004. And then I moved back here in 2017. And so when I moved away to LA, you have a huge arts district there, and that's what I moved there for, the arts. We didn't have as big as a community here. And then when I moved back in 2017, I started seeing things progress. I mean, just in that time being away. So I bet you guys had a lot to do with the changes I saw when I returned in 2017.
Well, I like to think so. We certainly have had a hand, but I believe that we have a very young community, and a lot of our young people have been very involved in kind of implementing new things, as well as many of our older patrons for the arts who have always been committed to supporting what happens in Fresno, because it has been through private philanthropy for many years that the arts have been supported.
And so now you guys have more support and resources.
Yes.
So what's going to happen on March 14th?
Well, March 14th will be the release of the RFP for the next round of funding under expanded access to arts and culture.
So what you said for that time, so what's the time frame of that?
The RFP will go out on March 14th, so at that time, people will be able to access the AOL, which is LOI, which is a letter of intent. And that letter of intent will be a preliminary review for organizations and individual artists who are working with organizations to get clearance and make sure that their nonprofit status is in order, that we get a synopsis of what they're proposing to do. And we also are able to find out if these organizations, what level of funding they're going to be eligible for. And so people want to get that LOI in right away. LOIs will be due April 4th. So just as soon as the release
That's a small period of time they have to work on that, huh?
Well, an LOI is a single-page document. It's not very big. And the reason for that is it allows us plenty of time to check and see that everything is in order, so that people don't waste their time on an application that they're really not qualified to.
I like that.
To submit.
Especially because I'm not a big fan of a lot of paperwork.
Right.
I don't think anybody.
Right. No, this is a single-page document that will help us know if they're ready to apply. And if they're ready, then they will have access to the application portal, and then they will have until June 6th to get their application in. So they really have a long time to get the application in.
I get it.
It's just that first LOI.
The first step.
Yeah, the first step needs to be completed. And then once that's done, we can then have them have plenty of time to get their application in.
That's going to be a lot of hard decision making that you guys have to do, because I mean, it's one battle just to even be able to expand the funding, get all the stuff you've gotten this far. Then you have to make the decisions, okay, who's eligible? Where does all this money go? Who's going to get what? I mean, how do you guys come together to figure these things out?
You know, it isn't really that difficult. The process we use is the process that's used with the National Endowment for the Arts, with the California Arts Council, and other funders. And basically, applications come in, there's a panel review process, the applicants have specific questions that are reviewed and scored, and it's a very standard procedure. And while it is a little heart-wrenching at the end,
right?
Because sometimes you know that there are projects that really had potential, but the applicant just wasn't ready. And we're talking about grants for small organizations of up to $50,000. And so if you really never managed that kind of fund, then it can be challenging. And even to develop the budgets and everything that goes with it, and then accounting for the funds and doing the reporting that comes afterwards. It's not as easy as people might think. And so,
I wouldn't think that's easy at all. What are you telling me? Like, I can tell.
so it really is important that those people that do submit applications are ready to take on the responsibility, because it's not just doing good programming. That's like the most important thing, is if you're proposing a program, that you deliver a high quality program,
right?
Because that's what our community deserves. But what is also of equal importance is that you manage those funds as they were intended. And so, so maybe it is a little harder, because we do have to make sure that the funds go to the right folks that can manage them well and produce good programs.
And then, are you guys good about giving feedback when people, like you said, when people are almost there but they don't have it quite there? Do you give them feedback like that so they don't get discouraged for next time, or when you need to get more funding and all that?
In fact, before we even had this fund, one of the services that the Arts Council provides is technical assistance. And so we've offered grant writing workshops.
Oh, that's awesome. I would need that. I would totally need that.
We've offered financial management workshops so that people understand it's one thing to be a talented artist. And, you know, there are many folks that are creative and they have great ideas, but it's another thing to execute it and then manage it well.
You have that business mind as well as artists. So those are two very different minds, so that's got to be hard to see that to come together.
They're very different, and I always tell people it's okay not to know everything, but you have to know people that know what you don't know.
Get that good team to go compensate.
Because if you're the creative, that's wonderful. But then find some people that have good business minds to align with. So whether it's another established organization or it's other partners that come together to work on your team, but make sure that you have a solid understanding of what it takes to be successful.
You know, what do you guys say to like all the naysayers? Like people are like, oh, why do you even have people going into prisons and helping them? What good is that really doing for the community? Is that really helping people? Or what do you say to people like that?
You know, I don't say too much because I believe that it's important that we provide access to the arts to everyone.
Right.
Because the arts are such an important part of our foundation, whether it's listening to music or engaging in watching a good movie, a good theater performance, a musical, or just the thought-provoking work of an individual painter or artist. I mean, all of that contributes to who we are as individuals. And so it's just important that everyone in the community, regardless of their position, that they have access to a quality art program, because it just does so much to us. I believe that the arts feed our soul, and we all have one, and we all need to have it grow and be alive and well.
Very well said. I was wondering too about the stats, because I've noticed, but I don't have it, I never have stats to back up anything, but communities that do have a stronger arts community are more successful communities overall. I think their downtown's better. And I didn't know if you guys had some stats where you're like, this is why this is important and we need to do this, and you guys need to get with the program and understand that we all need to come together for this.
You're exactly right. I think that one of the things that has fascinated me most in listening to folks talk about what attracts people to Fresno is I was listening to an administrator at one of our local hospitals, and they included in their enlistment materials, their recruitment materials, that Fresno has a thriving arts community. And I was curious that why would a hospital administrator put that in recruitment for doctors and medical professionals? And I never asked the question, but clearly I understand that if you're trying to attract people that are professionals or large business, they're looking for things beyond just a place to go to work.
Right.
It's what do you do in your off time? What are the things that you engage your family in? What are the quality of life benefits in the community that you're going to? And art is one of those things that closes the deal.
Oh, this is so great. What do you see going on? You've got this big thing right now. Beyond that, what are some of the plans that you see in the next few years that we can look forward to?
Well, I think we're just at the tip of a arts renaissance for Fresno. We mentioned earlier that I've been around for a long time, and I've seen amazing programs. We used to have an opera company in Fresno. We no longer have that. We used to have a dance repertory. We no longer have that. We used to have a large metropolitan museum that is now gone. I think that we are just on the cusp of seeing many new high-quality arts programs come back to our community.
That'd be awesome. And where can we go to see the progress on that? Are you guys very social media active? Can we be following this on Instagram or whatever? What do we go to figure this out?
Actually, electronic media is probably one of the best places to track the activities in the arts, because all of our arts institutions are posting on electronic media.
I'm sure you've seen that grow in the past 20 years.
Very much so. I mean, it used to be you could go to publications, print publications, and find that information, or even radio and television. But electronic media is really where you're going to get a lot of that information. But there is the Fresno Alliance is a publication, and it was funded this year to track all of the activities that are happening.
The Fresno Alliance.
The Fresno Alliance reports on a regular basis of or they actually are publishing a calendar.
Okay, that's great. That's what we need. That's what we need to know.
That's what you need, that outlines where all the activity is taking place. And then CMAC is also identifying and tracking much of the activity that's happening as a result of this new fund for the arts.
That's awesome. And then to apply for the March 14th thing, where do we go to apply for that?
The announcements will be on electronic media. Certainly the Alliance will report on it. We also will have it on our webpage, the Fresno Arts Council. Just Google Fresno Arts Council.
Google Fresno Arts Council, and then you'll get everything as well.
Go to Measure P funding.
Measure P funding.
Expanded access to arts and culture. And that's where people will get the information, how they'll be able to log in and find out how to get that AOL.
That is awesome. Thank you so much.
LOI. I'm sorry, I keep saying
there's
LOI.
so many things. LOI.
It's the LOI, the letter of intent.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. You've really been very helpful in letting us know what's happening. I feel so much more informed now, so this is really awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
You have such a little interesting life you have going on here, so tell us what you do.
So basically, as a hobby that I have is I'm a scam baiter. I go after scammers, whatever different types of scam, it doesn't matter. I go after them. They call me or I contact them. I try to bait them along and waste as much of their time as possible. And my real goal is to contact the victims and that are currently being scammed and warn them of the scam and kind of erode the scammer's network from the inside out.
How do you do that? It sounds so complicated. I know you've kind of explained this to me, but I still don't even know how they lead you to victims.
So there's all different kinds of scams, but I specialize in Jamaican lottery scams.
Okay.
And so somewhere along the line, my information was stolen. And they think I'm my parents' age, so they think I'm in my 80s, early 90s. So they call me up and they play me as a victim. They tell me that I've won the Publishers Clearinghouse, the Mega Millions, the Reader's Digest, which isn't even a lottery prize. And so I play along. And then they try to get me to register my prize, which means I have to go and buy gift cards. So I figured out that if I lie to them and tell them I can't buy gift cards in California because I'm over the age of 50 and it's against the law, that they would have me mail the money. And 99 times out of 100, the person they have me mail the money to is an elderly victim who is being scammed. And so I tricked the scammer into giving me the name, address, and phone number of the victim. I contact the victim, make them aware of the scam, save them from the scam, convince the scammer that that person is bad now, and then they give me another person and another person and another person until they finally realize I'm the one scamming them and they cut me off.
Wow. Why do they give you another person that they're scamming instead of someone that they can just easily get the money from?
Well, it's about greed, and their victims are called their clients, and so they think I'm one of their clients, and so I make them believe that I send the money. What I do is I send a scam warning letter to the victim. And what the scammer thinks is I've put in cash or a certified check for thousands of dollars. So it's their greed that is motivating them. Their greed is what's making them believe that I am an elderly person that is falling for their scam. And that's how they just lead me on to the next person after next person. Some of them are sharper. They figure it out after one or two victims, but I've had scammers give me over 20 of their victims that I've saved before.
Wow. That's really impressive. And so how long have you been doing this for?
Like I told you when we talked the other day, that I started off as a little kid doing crank calls like everybody does and loved doing that. And then, aggressive telemarketers, I would mess with them. And then probably about 15 years ago, they called my dad up, scammers, and they told him that I was in jail and I needed bail money. They tried to spoof that there was me. They got my dad all upset. My dad was smart enough that he called my sister. My sister called me and said, "Are you in jail?" I said, "No, I'm not in jail. I'm at home." And so that's when I said, you know what? I need to start doing something about this. And then once my number got stolen, I ended up in that queue, then I started getting more aggressive with it. First, I used to just waste their time and try to keep them on the phone as long as possible. And then I realized that I could contact victims, and that's when I really keyed it into high gear, and I specifically target them and go after them now.
What's with all this toll booth stuff? I literally have been getting this scam for like weeks now.
That's the latest scam, and this particular scam is predominantly out of South Asia. It's run by Chinese gang members, and they work out of Cambodia and Thailand because they can't use the internet in China because it's government controlled. So they go outside of China. Now, I do mess with those scammers, but the sad thing about that is oftentimes the people that are doing the calling and the texting, they're actually being held against their will. And so it's kind of a sad thing. They get beaten if they don't produce. So
wow. Yeah. That is just wild to me. Okay.
I know it's out of Asia because I will send them links. They'll ask for pictures or whatever, and I send them links, and they'll click on the link stupidly, and then I get their location from the link.
Wow, so you have a lot of ways of trapping and tricking.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, just for this show, remember when I first contacted you, I wanted to prove that everybody could be a victim of a scam when I came on. So when I called you, did I call you from my number?
It was a block number.
Yeah, and I got you to answer it. When you answered
I don't usually, there's two, but that's funny.
and then I said, hey, I want to send you an audio clip, right? And so then I sent you a link, and you clicked on it. And so what I could have done, which I didn't, but what that does is it gives me your IP address. And then I take your IP address and I plug it into a different program.
To see where the people are located.
Yeah, and then it gives me a location of where you're at. But what the scammers, they always tell people not to click on links. And one of the reasons why they tell you not to click on a link is because it can do more than that. Like I could find out if you had an iPhone, and then in the iPhone I can see what operating system you're working at. And if you have, when you update, they have the security updates.
Right.
If you aren't diligent that and you haven't updated your phone, what happens is they can target you with a virus that is not yet currently protected by your phone because you haven't updated your security setting. And they can get in and they can take over your computer and they can take over your phone, and it's all kinds of scary stuff that goes on.
And then they can take over your bank account? Is that like
They
one of
can
the
get into
things?
your phone and take over your bank account. A lot of times with the elderly victims, they don't even have to take over the bank accounts. They talk these old people into giving them the online access, username and password. And I see that all the time. And I have to coach these victims into going to their bank, putting fraud blocks on everything, switching their accounts, switching their Social Security over. It's crazy. It's a lot of work.
All the old people I know didn't even remember their passwords. How are they getting this?
They will, they're the
Like my mom.
Yeah, the scammers are very helpful. They'll walk you through the process. They
Like, they don't even remember their passwords.
Oh, no. They will literally walk you through the process. Like when I mess with some of the scammers out of India, I play like I don't know where the buttons are on the keyboard just to keep them on the phone a long time and get them really frustrated. But they have no problem saying, look to the right of this key. You see this key? And they'll tell you which buttons to press.
Wow. And so I know recently I don't know what you could say on camera about the FBI or having contacts with people that help. So what can you do? What's the I know you're helping victims save victims, but what are the legal ramifications that these people have, if any, since a lot of them aren't even from here?
So that's the big problem with the scams. So if the scammers are here in the United States, which there are, they're easier to catch because they're here. But once they're across a border, then it becomes a whole problem because local police can do nothing. The FBI is now limited because our jurisdiction is the United States, so they'd have to go over. So they'd have to give mountains of evidence. They'd have to have cooperation with that other country to go and arrest this individual, then extradite the person over. It's a huge process. And then the Attorney General that processes it, well, this whole thing, you can imagine how much money this whole thing cost, right? So if you're just out like a couple of $1,000, well, the whole trial, the whole process of this would cost $100,000. So they're not going to waste their time going after these small fish. What they're going to do is they're going to look for larger syndicates to go after and more bang for the buck. They're looking for the big fish, not the little minnows. I go after the little minnows. They go after the big fish. So what you can do if you're a victim, once you're a victim, is you can try and make a police report. That may or may not be successful. It's not going to do anything to get your money back. You can go to the FBI's IC3 reporting network, and what that does is it creates a database for statistics, so they can focus where their funding is going to go to attack these certain types of crimes. But it's very, very hard. If you give your money out in the form of gift cards, it's the same thing as throwing it in the fireplace. It's gone. It's like burning your money.
Right.
No way to get it back. If you use a credit card, not a debit card, but a credit card, then you can file fraud if you do that in a timely manner, and you might be able to get your money back from the bank. Through Bitcoin and stuff like that, there is ways to trace it down through wallets, and there's a small chance to get your money back that way. But most of the time, once the money's gone, it's gone.
Do you feel like I feel like it's almost becoming more aggressive, even though we're more aware that these scams are happening. I feel like it's becoming more aggressive. What do you see as far as that happening?
They constantly learn, they constantly change, they constantly adapt. This past year globally, it was one over $1 trillion was stolen globally from scams. Last in 2024, in the US, it was 12.5 billion. And California had the greatest loss of scam victims out of the entire country.
And when you said about big fish, I mean, I've heard of like just really big companies getting scammed, and even the White House. I've heard of some really crazy things happening. So that's really happening.
Yeah, it's ransomware. They get in there, they take over the computer. They've done it to hospitals. They lock it down, and they have to pay money to get it unlocked, or basically redo their entire computer system to get back into it.
Wow.
But it goes from the biggest company all the way down to grandma. One thing from that last report that they showed was the majority of the victims were younger, in their 20s, in California at least.
Really?
And they were falling victim. They weren't getting taken for as large of sums as the elderly people were, but they were more victim to smaller things. And the smaller things were like investments in Bitcoin and stuff like that for fake accounts, going on Facebook Marketplace and getting taken for going to try to buy a puppy and they want a huge down payment. The dog never exists. That kind of stuff. They get taken for more of those type of scams. But the elderly, when they get taken really large. They basically wipe out their bank account. I had a victim that I talked to the other day. She is negative $1,000 in her bank account right now. She can't even shut down her bank account until she puts the money into the bank account to shut the bank account down. And she could have paid off her house with what the scammer had gotten out of her in a year, which was $71,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then I showed you one a day, which was funny in the past 24 hours, all this scam. So what I showed you, which is what they got into the group of the Fresno Filmmakers Alliance, and then you found the actual source of what photo is using it. So what do you see of that? I know you've seen something similar to that.
Yeah, I've seen that they target Hollywood industry, not so much the actors. They do. I can't remember her name, but she's on Shark Tank. She's the lady with the short hair on Shark Tank. They went after her, and they did get money from her, but her accountant caught it just in time, and they were able to talk to banks overseas and get the money stopped and sent back. But she was going to be out hundreds of thousands. So it happens to everybody. But what I've seen, stories that I've heard about targeting Hollywood people is photographers and people like that. They'll have them go overseas, and you know how the industry works is sometimes you have to front the money, like the photographer will have to pay for their flight and everything, and after they're there, they will get reimbursed. But they sent these photographers on a wild goose chase all over Asia, going to take pictures here and there, and then the people they're going to take the pictures with never show up, and they had cars pick them up, but they had to pay the drivers while they were there. And so they out of his own pocket, he got hosed for the flight over there, all his time over there, but every day he had to pay a driver like $1,000 to take him to the shoots and all that stuff. And they did it with a chef, a caterer. Yeah, it's crazy. So just like you saw with this model shoot, where they want you to give you your bank account information so they can directly deposit your pay into it, because there's no other way. That's how they operate, right? Yeah.
Right.
They want your information so they can clean your bank account out. The fine thing that we were talking about a minute ago with the toll booth, if you pay that $7 fine and you don't think anything of it, what they do is they take your credit card and max it out for $5,000.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And so what does the most average person fall for? I mean, because you said like the young people are falling for stuff. What is the biggest thing that we should be aware of?
It's anything that's too good to be true, right? So the scammers are like magicians. They create this illusion to trick you into believing something, and then then they swipe the money. That's what they make disappear.
Well, usually if we talk to someone for a while, we always figure it's a scam if we don't know them and they're asking us something. So where did they get people to stay on the phone and talk to them more, like the average person, not so much the elderly or like young people? Where would they get like an average?
Those are where they're really not staying on too much. What they're doing is they're they're contacting them on the internet, and it's all on a chat log thing, and they're keeping brief, and they're giving them websites that they can go to, and you can go on the website and you can click around on the website, and the website looks real, but it's 100% fake, made up there. They can make bank websites. I'm not even computer savvy, and what I can do is I can pull up a screen of a bank account, and then I change the HTML code on it, and I make like I have $1 million in the bank, and I send that picture to the scammers, and they believe me, even though there's nowhere near that much money in there. So it's all an illusion. So that's how they keep it on, and they say seeing is believing. Well, you're looking at it, you're seeing it, you're on the website, you're clicking, and boxes are opening up, and things are changing. It's a fake website.
So with these little guys you caught, have you seen anybody get in trouble? Like, how much trouble do these people get in that you've seen get caught?
When they do get caught, they take them and they'll put them in prison. And usually what happens is they'll make the mistake and come to the United States. And if the FBI was watching them and knows they're here, the FBI will go and grab them. And they can get a lot of time. They can get like 20 years in prison for it.
So there is good repercussions once they get caught, if they get caught.
And it's such a small amount. It's like none of them get caught is basically how you can think of it. For Jamaica alone, it's a $300 million a year industry for that little country that's about the size of Fresno County, right? So if you can imagine, that's a huge part of their gross national product. So do you think the government's going to crack down on that? No, it's bringing money into their society and providing jobs for their people. The scammers that I deal with, sometimes they'll work construction, but most of the time they sit around the house all day and call old people and steal their money.
I figured.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do we have tips for us to do when we get to a scammer calling us so we can punk them like you do?
Oh, well, it can be dangerous because, like I say, it's easy to trick somebody into doing anything.
You have a recording for us.
Yeah, let me see if I can do it.
Something that you did that's pretty funny. So I'd love to hear.
What I like to do to them, a lot of times the scammers will try to, they're worried about another scammer coming in behind them and stealing because you away. They'll say, oh, this person, he stole your money. He's not really with the Publishers Clearinghouse. I'm so-and-so with the Publishers Clearinghouse. And then they'll use the real name of someone who actually works for Publishers Clearinghouse. And they'll send you pictures and their ID, which is all fake, get you to believe into it. And so then they'll want to set up a password with you. They'll set up a password and it'll say like 1234 US. But then the character I play, Haywood, this elderly man, he says, no, anybody can guess that. I'll give you a good password. So I get some show tune or a Disney song and I send them a text with a lengthy thing that they have to sing back to me. And then I sing my part to them. And basically in the end, when they realize they've been duped, I take a little bit of their dignity away because they look like fools. And so that's how I steal from them. And so this particular scammer, he told me his name was Tom McDonald. So of course the song that I got for him was Old MacDonald. So let's see if I can get this to play really quick.
All right, go ahead. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he has some cows, E-I-E-I-O, with a moo-moo there, a moo-moo here, a moo-moo there, everywhere's a moo-moo. Old MacDonald have a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a pig, E-I-E-I-O, with an oink-oink here.
Yeah. And so I will sing my version of the song, and sometimes they're very elaborate, and they're multiple voices, like Grim Grinning Ghosts from the Disney's Haunted Mansion ride. I had one Nigerian scammer. He would sing like the first voice, and then I would keep him on the line for the next minute and a half, where I sung the entire song of Grim Grinning Ghosts to him, and then he'd laugh and chuckle along. And he's one of my good success stories because he was, unlike the Jamaicans, he was still in the traditional Nigerian scammer method of sending the letters, the physical letters saying that you've won the lottery, Swiss lottery or whatever, and to call back. And so I got a hold of one of those letters, and that's how I contacted him and said that I'd received the letter, and I baited him into it. And he had me send money to people. The guy was actually up the valley a little ways, one of the victims, and I went to the guy's house and interviewed him and got him to be on my side. And he and his elderly mother were being ripped off. So that led me to a lady in Texas by the name of Rita. And what Rita had was 700, close to 800 letters, scam letters, because he wasn't going to send them from his location. He was in Canada. He sent the letters from Canada to Texas to Rita.
Wow.
Rita had the letters. He wanted me to go out and buy $500 worth of postage stamps and send them to Rita so she could put the stamps on the envelopes and send them out. And so I contacted Rita, convinced Rita to, I paid for the postage, and she sent me the box. So the only video I have on TikTok is me opening the box of letters. It's 700 scam letters going to elderly people all across the United States.
That is so awesome. I love that. Oh my gosh. So where can we follow you and see some of the stuff that's going on in your world?
The only thing I have, and like I said, it's only one video. I'm Rick the Scam Hunter on TikTok. That's it. Maybe I'll put up some more later.
I know. Come on. You got to entertain us. This is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thanks for having me. It's great.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You have such a great story to tell. So tell our viewers a little bit about your story and how you found a perfect match, not matchmaking.
Well, my story is about kidney failure. The reason for the perfect match is because I have a kidney transplant. I went into kidney failure after having my son.
How old were you?
I was about 26 years old.
So young.
Yes, and my son, it affected him as well, going through it. He had to grow up real fast, learning how to cook and wash clothes. It was pretty tough going through dialysis.
How rare is that? Like, what did they tell you? That all of a sudden you're just healthy 20-something-year-old to now you're like almost dying?
While I was carrying my son, I was having a protein spill, and they didn't understand what was going on with me. So they told me that they would have to take my son early and then run tests. And so after I had my son, I had to have a C-section.
How early did they take him?
Probably like 2 weeks early.
Okay.
And they did a C-section, and they said, we're going to send you to a nephrologist. I'm like, a nephrologist? I don't know what that is. So I was shocked. So they took me. They made an appointment. I went to go see the nephrologist, and they go, you're going into kidney failure.
What did you think when they told you that?
I had no idea what it was. I was in shock. And then he said, no more kids. You can't have no more kids after this.
And were you normally perfectly healthy before then? Did you ever have anything weird growing up? Or
I had nothing.
Oh, my gosh.
And so after maybe like 5 years later, I went into the kidney failure. And it affected my motherhood. Kidney failure is not only just an illness, it's a thief. It robs you of your normal daily life. And so I was always tired, and it made me miss a lot of my son's childhood events and everything.
Your only son, because they said you couldn't have any more children. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So I got through it with the help of accepting Christ in my life. I had lost a really good friend while being on dialysis. And my sister, she ministered to me, and she said, are you ready to accept Christ? I said, yes, and I thank God that I did, because I couldn't have made it with my own strength. By me accepting Christ in my life, I was able to be strong and had something to live for.
So when you lost your friend through going through your dialysis, it was also somebody that was also in kidney failure?
Yes.
So you were like, that's scary, because that could have been you.
Yes.
That could be you at that point.
Yes, and I also experienced a near death because being on dialysis, it's like a balance thing. You have to balance what you drink and what you eat. And so I overhydrated. And a lot of people, they pass away due to overhydration because you have to balance your water intake. Wow. You only can drink so much water.
That is insane.
Yes. And so I went through a near-death experience, overhydrating, and my sister Candace, she got me to the hospital just in time. The doctor said if you would have got here like 2 minutes late, she wouldn't be here.
No.
Yes, so after that experience, I really measured my things good. And so I was placed on a transplant list. And I was told that I was going to be on dialysis for 5 years, but God made a way for me to have it in 3.5 years. It was a perfect match. The person, it was a cadaver. And so everything matched. Perfect. And so that's why I wrote the book, A Perfect Match.
Wow.
Yes. And so it's by God's grace I'm still here. I'm still standing.
That is, wow. Do you know anything about the person or not really? It was all like kind of anonymous or like, yeah.
Yes, it was anonymous. So by God's grace, I'm still here, and it's 25 years. I've had my kidney transplant 25 years.
And now everything's good? Are you normal now? You can drink as much water as you?
Yes, I am normal. I can drink and I can eat. Whatever. Did
you underhydrate after that? I feel like you'd almost do the opposite because you'd be so afraid that you'd underhydrate.
Yes, I do that periodically, and they're like, you need to drink more fluid, more
I
fluid,
can understand why
fluid.
You'd be scared.
Yes, exactly. So, and you know, the doctor was saying that cadaver transplants normally last 8 years, but I'm knocking on 25 years.
Really? Oh my goodness.
So
do you go to the doctor like every year to check and make sure it's good?
Oh, yes.
And like, what did they tell you?
I do lab work every 3 months. They check it every 3 months. I go in and get my blood drawn every 3 months, and then I see the transplant doctor once a year. But I have my normal kidney doctor here that I see every 6 months.
Wow.
Yes.
So what's your new lease on life? I mean, with all of a sudden you can eat and drink what you want. You can have energy now. What was it like? You got the kidney transplant, and then how soon after were you feeling like more normal, more to your new normal?
Well, after I got my transplant, it probably took me about maybe 6 months to get into the routine because I'm on a lot of medications, immunosuppressant medication. So I have to take you for the rest of my life, which I'm okay with.
They probably had to experiment at first to know which ones were going to work for you, huh? And that's why the 6 months were kind of weird.
Yes. And so I'm okay with that. So God's grace.
Wow, this is such a great story. So how did you get the courage and strength to actually put all this down? That's a great title, by the way. That's a perfect title.
Well, God spoke to me and told me to get this going, and so I spoke with my sister. I said, God told me to write this book, and it took a while for me to get the book going because it was emotional, very emotional, and so I said, okay, I'm going to do it, and my sister's like, yep.
And you didn't have any writing experience?
No, I just, as I was going through dialysis, I jot down everything that I was going through.
That's so good. Okay.
I had it written all down, so when I got with the producer and everything, and we just plugged everything in.
Wow.
And by me having a perfect match, I named my book A Perfect Match. Because everything was perfect.
So when you meet people now that are going through it, what's your advice to them?
My advice for them is to find your faith. I found mine through God. Put your trust in God. Stay in His Word. He walked with me through my valley, so He'll never leave you nor forsake you. Just keep trusting God and do what you need to do to make it through. A lot of people don't get a chance to get on the medical team, transplant team, but God has his own, Liz. He is still touching hearts today. And stay encouraged. You can make it through it.
And then the person that I know that I met you through, she said she knew you when you were going through it. She had no idea. Like, here you were walking amongst everybody. You look this normal, nice, sweet, healthy girl. No one knew like what you were going through. So what was it like to finally even kind of tell everybody, all the people you walk amongst, hey, I am one of you, but I'm not one of you. I have some health issues.
It was kind of hard to do that. It kind of was like,
it's personal.
I kind of felt, it was personal. I kind of felt bad, to tell them what I'm, what I have a kidney transplant, and it just felt personal. I felt bad and everything, but I know they can get through it.
So now it's a little more comfortable to be like, hey, this is what happened.
Yes. I feel comfortable now telling them this is what happened and everything, and they can get a transplant too, Just keep putting your trust in God, and you'll make it through it.
That's how you waited 3.5 years without going insane.
Yes, through God, because I know with my strength, I wouldn't have made it through it. I wanted to give up. I wanted to throw in the towel and give up because I was going through so much pain and
weakness
and surgeries. And but God got me through it. He got me through it. When I called to check where I was at on the list, that encouraged me even more to hang on. Don't throw in the towel. Hang in there. And so I still have my pager from when they sent it to me, when I made the phone call, and they said, you're close to the top. We're sending you your pager. And today I still have my pager.
I love that.
I still have it. And that encouraged me to hang on.
Gosh, where were you when that went off?
I was at home getting ready to go to school, to Fresno City College. And when I got that call, that was the most exciting thing. I don't have to do dialysis anymore. I was excited, and I tried not to get too excited because I didn't want my blood pressure.
And you want to make sure that you didn't make a mistake. You're like, is it me we need to get a hold of? You probably had all these thoughts of emotions.
Yes, and so when I got there, they said, we're going to run your blood work and make sure this is for you. And I said, yes, this is for me. I didn't come all the way here to San Francisco to be turned around to go back home. I'm like, I was claiming it.
I'm
it's
not
mine.
leaving without it.
That's right. And so when they did the blood work and they came back, they were in shock. They said, this is a perfect match. Do you have a twin somewhere? I was like, no, I don't have a twin anywhere. They was in shock. And they were like, are you scared? Nope, I'm ready. I done been through too much.
Wow. Where can we purchase this book?
You can purchase that book on Amazon. It is $16.95.
Okay, so you are local, so if anybody wants an autograph, are you doing any book signings by chance anywhere that we know of?
Yes, I just did a book signing last Sunday.
Are you doing another one anytime soon?
Not yet, but...
Where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Facebook.
Okay, so it's just Bernice Woods, or is that your Facebook?
Yes, Bernice Woods.
Okay. And then we can follow you, and then, we'll find out the next book signings, and people want to come get I'm sure people have a lot of questions. So are you open to that, so people Facebook you and they start asking you some questions? Because I think we all know somebody that's going through some type of struggle like this, and like you said, it's so hopeless sometimes. You just want to throw in the towel because...
Yes. But you can't throw in the towel. You have to ride it out all the way to the end, because if you throw in the towel too soon, you never know what God has for you. So you have to go all the way to the end.
What's your son say about everything now?
Oh, he's happy. He was like, oh, you got this kidney. He is so happy because I couldn't do a lot of things with him when he was little. It's like it robbed me of my motherhood with him, missing all kind of events and classes with him. So he's excited about it.
Yeah, he grew up stronger too, just with having to go through all that. He became a strong man.
Yes, he became strong. Like, if my mom can go through this, I can go through whatever in life. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming here today and telling us your story.
Thank you for having me. I enjoy being here.
Everybody go to Amazon and get A Perfect Match.
Yes.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.
I'm thinking you be Mr. Martin Crony. Boys, go back inside now.
I'm in search of someone that fancies himself a shootist.
What you need a gun hand for?
Gotta find someone, settle a score. Please let Mary still be alive.
What is the matter?
They're coming. The men that killed my family.
We had a specific plan to follow.
White came looking for Everett. He can track like nobody else can.
If I do this, I will do it for her.
Where is she?
Dear Father God, I come to you with anger and revenge in my heart. I know that vengeance is yours. I ask that you allow me to be the vessel of that vengeance.